Hi there, I'm Andy and welcome to my channel about crypto. In today's video, I want to give a quick update on the current market situation. Last couple of weeks on Mondays, I didn't really talk much about the market because there wasn't really that much happening. I focused on some other aspects of the crypto space. But today, well, if you've been looking at the charts, it's been absolute bloodbath. And of course, there is quite a bit to talk about. I'm sure a lot of people are quite worried about the current situation. Is crypto dead? Will it recover? When it will recover? And essentially, what can we expect next? And also, is this now a really good buying opportunity, or is it worth holding on a bit more? As always, if you like those videos, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. Please do check out my private Discord, which you can find in the description. So let's start with Bitcoin's chart and let's have a look at this drop we had today. So it was pretty nasty, something like what, 15%, just over 15.5% at the very bottom when it hit approximately, what was it, $22,500. So the lowest we've seen in a very, very long time. In fact, if we zoom out, that's the lowest we've seen since, well, late 2020. So that's quite a while. So of course, not a great day, especially that, as you can expect, all other cryptocurrencies followed, or vast majority of them followed. ETH got hit pretty hard as well. Pretty much everything else dipped also significantly. A lot of them started recovering slowly, but of course we are still at much lower prices than we were yesterday. The volume today was quite high. In fact, it was a bit higher than what we had during this capitulation here a few weeks ago. So there are reasons to expect that this could be like the final capitulation event, even more so considering that we almost touched 200-week SMA, which historically it's Bitcoin's bear market support band. We very rarely get to this level, let alone go below it. As you can see here, the week was just above, literally a couple $100 above that level. Now, if we zoom out and see when was the last time when we reached that level, well, it was actually March 2020 at the beginning of the pandemic. So if we zoom into this moment, as you can see, we went below it at the time. Well, that level was approximately $5,500 and we went as low as 3,800, so substantially below the bear market support band. And we did actually stay there for a while. If we zoom in, as you can see, we were in that level for, well, about a week or so. And then we started quite rapid recovery. So it's perfectly reasonable to expect that we may go below it again. If we go to the previous time when we got to that level, that was in 2019, late 2018, early 2019. Well, it wasn't quite as dramatic here. As you can see, it was literally a support level, which makes perfect sense because the events in March 2020 were highly unexpected, while this was more like a normal market cycle. But as you can see, we touched that level over the course of 3 or 4 days, or even went very briefly just below it, then went up for quite a while. I mean, this was in mid-December 2018, and then we again almost got down to that level in February, almost 2 months later, and only then we slowly started climbing back up. If we go even earlier than that, that would be something like this period here in 2015. And as you can see here, of course, you have to bear in mind that this was when Bitcoin was, well, at not even $300. And the dip was actually to something like $160. Of course, market cap was far, far smaller. The market was far less mature. So there was much higher volatility. But as you can see, we had a brief dip here. and then actually much longer period when we stayed below bear market support band here in late 2015. So what we are seeing now is, although really nasty in the short term, but actually for the longer term outlook, I think this is quite a bullish thing. Personally, I prefer those massive capitulation events, which then restart the market cycle rather than just trending sideways and slowly bleeding down for literally months and months with no end in sight. Is this the end of the dip? Well, to be honest, I'm not convinced. Bitcoin started making pretty decent recovery today. Well, decent. It recovered about just over $1,000 from the bottom. And I'm hoping that it will recover quite a bit more over the coming days. But looking at various other metrics and looking at the market overall, I don't think this is the end of it. Essentially, until inflation gets under control, until the situation worldwide starts improving a bit, starts becoming a bit more stable, I don't think we can honestly say that, yeah, this is the market bottom and from now on we're going just up. In a much more stable market, I would say that there is a chance that this could be a bottom, but personally, I think that we will go back up a bit and then revisit this level. And to be perfectly honest, I think we'll probably dip below 200-week SMA at some point. That being said, this line is slowly trending upwards. So even though we may dip below it, the price may not be far different to what we've experienced today. So it's worth keeping that in mind as well, especially if this was to happen in few weeks rather than next few days. So yeah, that's what I'm thinking about Bitcoin short term and sort of mid-term price action. Long term, I think I remain really bullish. If you have any doubts, well, you can have a look at my video from last week when I spoke about quite a few examples why I think that long term it's still really good to invest in crypto, in NFTs, in the metaverse. I gave a lot of examples there of various articles and companies that are extremely bullish on the metaverse. And personally, if it was just me saying this, well, I can be wrong, that's fine. But all those companies, they employ a lot of smart people. They have a lot of capital invested in this space. And I don't see how they can all be wrong. Essentially, it's in their interest to be right. So even if the market is going the other way, I'm pretty sure there will be a lot of people with a lot of money and a lot of influence making sure that eventually this will all bounce back up. So it's now a good time to buy. Well, to be honest, it's certainly not bad. I mean, Bitcoin was close to 70K and we are now just above 20K. Sure, it may dip a bit more. How low? I would say probably around down to around 20K or so. But from the current price, that would represent only about 20% dip or so, 15-20% I would expect. But the potential for the upside is, of course, much, much bigger. Even if we go back to the previous all-time high, well, that's already almost, well, just pretty much exactly 3x from the current price. And of course, the expectation is that once the bull market fully resumes, we'll go much higher than the previous all-time high, hopefully 200K and above. So I would expect that we will see about 5-6x return from the current price. So certainly it's not a bad point to invest. You just have to be prepared that in a short term, it may go down before it will go back up. And you may need to wait a couple of years before we reach new all-time high, possibly even longer. But yeah, it's certainly a good moment to at least start DCAing into Bitcoin or potentially acquiring bigger positions. Regarding other coins, I would be rather careful because although they may start recovering against dollar, they will probably not be recovering as quickly against Bitcoin. So basically, in my opinion, the strategy should be either stacking cash and hoping for even better entry, if that's what you want to do, or DCAing into Bitcoin, or if you feel inclined to do so, potentially into ETH, but you have to be prepared that while ETH may start picking up value against dollar, it will probably continue losing value against Bitcoin. If you look at ETH to Bitcoin chart, that's very clear that ETH to Bitcoin valuation has been going down consistently since, well, first half of May. So just something worth keeping in mind. What else is there to talk about? Well, Nasdaq dipped a bit today, quite a bit in fact. Dollar is rallying back up. In fact, after this pullback, it's now above the high it had in mid-May. So essentially, as long as the dollar is going up, we can forget about any sort of crypto rally. We need this to start coming back down in order for crypto to start moving back up. If we look at the crypto fear and greed index, well, that's firmly in extreme fear territory, and I don't expect it to move anywhere for quite a while. As you can see, it's been pretty consistently crap for a while. If we look at the volume of transactions on OpenSea, well, you could say that May looked pretty good, but then if we look at daily transactions, actually that volume in May was largely due to the first couple of days, and that was other side mint, Yuga Labs / Bored Ape ecosystem. So essentially this volume right here, that's what kept overall month volume quite decent, because as you can see, then the volume just plummeted down, and by mid-May it was in pretty low, and it just stayed at that level, and if anything is coming down. And if you look at figures in June, well, that's where we are at the moment, far below last month. Essentially, we are back to numbers from July last year. And yeah, we are not quite at the end of the month, but it's the 13th today, so we are almost halfway there. So even if this bar will go back up to something like this, I don't know, maybe a little bit higher, well, that's nowhere near the figures we had over the last more than half a year. So yeah, essentially NFT market is experiencing massive slowdown as well. There is of course a bit of volume on Solana, but not quite the Solana summer everyone was expecting. So let's not get overly excited about that. And then finally, we also had news like Celsius, one of the DeFi companies, pausing withdrawals due to extreme market conditions. News like this, especially during times like this, when people are freaking out, are certainly not good for this space. I know that Binance for a period of time stopped withdrawals of Bitcoin from their exchange, and that was apparently due to backlog of transactions. But again, regardless of the reason, people don't want to see stuff like this. One of the main reasons why people are entering the crypto space is because they can control their assets. They don't depend on the central bank or anything like that. They have their wallet, they have their assets, they have full control over them. So of course, situations like this are extremely damaging to this image, and well, just increasing the panic when everything is crashing down. But like I said, if you check out my video from last week, I'll put a link at the end of this video. There are still a lot of really bullish news, and I remain extremely bullish on crypto long term. It's just short term, well, we have to be prepared for things being pretty rough. But I'm sure it will be fine. I've been saying this for a while, that the next few weeks and months may be quite bumpy. We've been talking on this channel for a while about the possibility of Bitcoin going down lower than the dip we had here a few weeks ago. That's what happened today. Like I said, I'm not entirely convinced that this is the end of it. In fact, I'm fairly certain that this is not the end. One thing that didn't happen that I was really hoping for is a bit of a relief rally. We did hit figures around sort of 32K or so. I was expecting 35, maybe even closer to 40K. That never happened. Whether it will happen before we get another dip, I'm not sure, but I'm hoping that we will see something like this actually taking place. That's pretty much it for today. Overall, a nasty day in the crypto space, but frankly, if you've been in the space for a while, it's nothing new. It happens from time to time. It's absolutely horrible when it happens, but it's just part of being in this space. And as long as you didn't sell anything, well, you didn't really lose any money yet. Hopefully you are not in a position that you have to sell. So you just have to wait for better times. And I have pretty much no doubt that those times will come, but it may just take a bit more time. So I think that's it. If you enjoyed the video, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. If you have any questions or comments, please put them in the comment section, and I will see you next time. Thank you for watching. Bye.